Hey guys, Matthew here, and today I ran another test for the series. I went ahead and ran an hour of T6, T7 maps, so I'm going to go ahead and tell you guys basically what I ran, how I ran them, and then we're going to look at the results. So what I decided to go for was actually focus on Lex Ejoris, and the reason for that is because of the small nodes here under Lex Ejoris, which gives you 15% chance to drop additional cluster jewels whenever you do get a delirium to spawn. Unfortunately for me, out of every single map that I did in the 1 hour, I did not have a single delirious map show up, so I actually did not have the opportunity to take advantage of any of this whatsoever. I probably got some yellow alpha missions from it, but it doesn't really matter since those are not super useful. In the end game, you'll want to be stacking red ones. So overall, from my Lex Ejoris tree, I really didn't get a whole lot. Unfortunately for me, something else would have probably been better, but that's what we went for. I was hoping that because there's a lot of cluster jewels this league, which fairly low item level, around level 74, 75 or whatever, which is around the tier maps I was running, are actually quite valuable, that we could, take advantage of that, but again, didn't happen. Okay, so the maps that I ran were basically anywhere between T6 and T8s, and again, in the Lex Ejoris region, I made sure that all my other regions were red maps and all that, so I didn't have to worry about that at all, interfering with my test. I'm not sure how exactly how many maps I ran, but I had a lot of people ask me in my previous videos of the series, like, yo, can you at least show like some map running to see how fast you're actually doing it? Because obviously if you're like, twice as fast as anybody else, it's normal that if I do the same thing, I'll make half the money. So let me just go ahead and quickly do like a Quarry run just to show you guys kind of like the speed of my character. It's not too fast, but it's definitely not slow either. We are taking advantage of elusive because we are an assassin. We do have badge of the Brotherhood. I am using the animation canceling with smoke mine and flame dash, which allows me to basically move very quickly, I guess, between packs. Obviously, I'm wearing a Quicksilver Flask, but it's not of Adrenaline. It's actually not even an Alchemist Quicksilver Flask, so I'm losing some move speed there, but I am also getting a bit of movement speed from my single inspired learnings that I'm running. So I'm going to go ahead and show you guys that. Over here, I have an inspired learning, which I'm using for, well, it's actually helping me out with mana sustain a little bit with Discord Artisan. This is giving me cast speed, but realistically, it's kind of useless. Actually, it's not very good at all. I should go on the other side for the additional cast speed, but I can't really do that. So it's giving me a little bit of damage. I do have an additional brand, which helps for clearing, especially with the league mechanic. And of course, I'm an assassin, so power charge stacking. So that's kind of the situation there. So anyways, that's about the speed at which I run the maps. As you saw, it's not like the fastest build in the world ever, but it's also not super slow. So let's go ahead and now we can look at the results. So I started with 10 alchemies and I ended up with 0 alchemies because there's 10 of these that I actually started with, which I have to remove from the results. And I started with a total of 5 maps, so I have over sustained a total of 9 maps, which I will keep in the results because they actually do have value. Somehow yellow maps or especially certain yellow maps are still a chaos or 2. Because people are actually really struggling with map sustain this league. So let's go ahead and rezone out and zone back in order to get Excellence next to updates, which is the tool that I use in order to calculate how much money I made. So now we can go ahead and jump into Excellence, fetch the snapshot, and we will see the total money that I made. So I made a total of 215.8 chaos, so about roughly the same amount of currency that I made farming Quarry, matter of fact. Roughly the same amount of currency that I made, maybe a little bit more than I made yesterday farming the T1 maps. I think I would attribute that to mostly getting more 6 sockets to drop in higher tier maps. They're just overall more common, and of course getting higher tier oils and stuff like that from things like league mechanics. The higher tier you are in, typically the better rewards you get. It unlocks better rewards. One thing that I did get that is not actually calculated in the rewards is a Blighted Arsenal map, which is a T7 that actually dropped from a regular Blight that I actually did. So that's worth about probably 25-30 chaos. Blighted maps are very expensive this league, so we could add that in on top. and that would give us, let's just say 25C. That would bring us to 240 chaos. Otherwise, we really didn't get a whole lot of anything that's too valuable. I did keep in the essences that I thought were definitely sellable as part of the results. So things like screaming essences, I obviously are always going to sell, especially the good ones. So I had some additional ones that were just bad, like suffering, for example, but I kept the good ones like fear for people trying to craft minion weapons, you know, zeal, obviously loathing, dread. There's a lot of pretty decent ones. I kept everything else. I removed div cards that were just not very good, and that was pretty much every single div card that I got from the league mechanic or otherwise. I also did get 4 contracts, which actually have a value of about 3 chaos each. Contracts of item level like 68 and above or 70 and above are typically bought for about 3C each, so that would give us an additional 12 chaos on our results as well. And then I got pretty lucky from the league mechanic. I actually got this cluster jewel here, which is a 4-socket fire damage over time multiplier of item level 74, which is actually worth 1.8 Exile right now. So that was like basically the lucky drop that we obviously would not consider normally, but just for the sake of this, that's worth about 240 chaos. So that basically is doubling the money I made from a single cluster. But again, that is considered a lucky drop, not exactly something you could expect to get every time. Overall though, because I was actually just doing Alk and Go and I was able to over sustain, I think that farming yellow maps, T6, T7, T8s is probably better than farming Quarry if you have a fast build which is capable of never dying in the league mechanic. That's obviously important that you don't die from the league mechanic, so you can complete it every single time. And of course, you need a fast build, and a lot of builds are going to need a significantly more investment to be able to run, let's say, a T6 map the same speed as they can run Quarry. Because of that, it's actually pretty hard for me to say, oh, I actually think you should farm these maps. I think that for the majority of people who have very entry-level builds, Quarry might actually still be a better idea. But overall, if your build is capable of farming both at the same speed, I would say focusing on the higher tier maps because of the higher tier rewards is probably going to be a bit better. So that's pretty much all I have for this video. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. Before I go, I want to say a huge thank you to my supporters: Flame Scorpion, Richard, Willie D, Alex, Jordan, Emil, Raymond, Tim, Scott, Lost with the Map, Grimoire, Nathaniel, Kremis, Justin, Kevin, the other Justin, So Nice, Axel, Mercury, Bitizen, as well as, of course, anybody else who wishes to remain anonymous and anybody else who has supported me in the past. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.